Hi, if you're looking for a very special short-term rental here in Santa Ynez Valley, I think you found it. It's called the Carriage House in the Vineyard, and it's a stunning property that overlooks this magnificent vineyard. Over 350 acres of unabated view right here in the heart of Santa Ynez Valley. So imagine yourself just waking up to the view is one thing, but having your own private garden and a wisteria arbor that is over 100 years old, laden with those beautiful violet-colored flowers that bloom and give off an essence of the sweetest of air, so fabulous that you just don't want to leave the garden setting. But wait, you need to leave the garden setting to come inside and see something so unique and so special. This was an original carriage house. It was built in the early 1920s, and in its day it housed horses and carriages, of course. But under the renovation and ingenious design of James Chuda, internationally acclaimed architect, it's been revised, it's been enhanced, and it is now a beautiful place to reside, short or long term, or even for a weekend. All of the furnishings here in the carriage house are antiquities. Some of them date back to the 1800s, such as this desk, and some of them are more prevalent, like this Ralph Lauren couch. And there are wonderful, lovely things that just capture the eye and the essence of why we celebrate this beautiful place called home. Perhaps it's the horses that are so magnificent throughout the valley, and the idea of ranch life, which is so present and always will be, because it is one of the reasons why the West was won. All of the agriculture supports it here. Many cattle ranches date back to the 1800s as well. But the carriage house brings us to a whole other feeling. Step inside to the living room in this great loft space. King-size bed, very comfortable organic mattress, and your own fireplace right here to warm you on cold winter nights. One of the nice touches about staying here in the carriage house are the beautiful roses that are grown next door in the vineyard house. These are all very aromatic, and some of them are from the great development of David Austin in the United Kingdom. The art again throughout the carriage house, some of it is very vintage and old, and some of it is very present day. But the thing that strikes me as being so unique is that you see here a wonderful print of Van Gogh that he created in Arles, France in the late 1800s. And if you step inside to the main view, you will see the miraculous duplication of the very view that Van Gogh saw in Arles, France, which makes you wonder, is it the same? Well, hardly. It's not, because we're not in Arles, France, but you would think you were when you're staying here in the carriage house. It's a very unique place, and it's filled with all sorts of fun antiquities, like this here. This is an old American, I guess you could call it bibliothèque or cupboard, but actually it's not. It's from floor to nearly ceiling, but what does it house inside? Very cleverly done. It has a bar sink, which is so fun. And again, this wonderful old lithograph of carriage houses in the early 1900s. Then you step here into the kitchen, which is quaint and small, but it has every possible amenity that you would ever need for your short-term stay. And it's very, very nicely covered with all kinds of accoutrements for cooking, and even contains some very unique Mexican vintage pottery and watercolor painting that comes from the area as well. So when you step inside the carriage house, you're back in time. You almost get the feeling that it could be the early 1900s, and if it were, you would be beautifully ensconced in this fabulous space, all to yourself, the privacy of it all, and of course the garden to your left. But that's not to mention that right out the front door, which is where we'll go right now, you have another open space, which makes this totally private, and it's your own, your very own space. And as you can see, we sit in front of these magnificent redwood trees, some of which are over 50 years old. And if you step ahead, you'll see the view. And at sunset, it's so magnificent, it makes you want to cry. The sun sets, obviously, and we get these beautiful colors in the sky, and especially this time of year, which is October. So, again, if you're considering a short-term or a long-term rental, you just may want to consider the Carriage House in a Vineyard. Make it yours. Be present. Enjoy the moment, and most of all, get the most living life to the fullest here in Santa Ynez Valley.